So I'm going to share a whole nother set of blooming perennials in this garden that made it through the freeze looking untouched. Yeah, this garden actually hovered right around 20, possibly 19 for several nights over the last couple weeks. So this is the worst of the worst. Okay, right here I have a plant called Gaura, G-A-U-R-A, and it is actually native to North America. It's a really pretty wispy bloom. What I love about it is it's drought tolerant and then also freeze tolerant. I have this in a couple gardens and they all look untouched by the freeze. So this is another one worth to have something there when things die back. This is perfect because it's a very low mound and it's not going to die back when we hit 20 degrees. This is commonly called fall aster. It is completely tough. I haven't seen one die back yet. A lot of people will leave their asters like this because they believe they need it to insulate the bottom part of the new growth that's emerging. However, that's not the case, and I'm going to show you right now. This plant's getting ready for its next flush of blooms. It's not going to come out up here. The new blooms that aster make stem from this new growth and new mound coming from the bottom. This is where all the new blooms are going to come from. So if you have aster and you don't, you want to know if it's time to cut yours back, pull the sticks back and look. And if you see these down at the bottom, it's time to go ahead and just cut those back. I cut these back. It's been over a month, but these right here have been exposed to those 20-degree temperatures more than once. So here, they all look fine. They all look great, as a matter of fact. They look great. If you're looking for a plant that's an evergreen that can grow between stepping stones and it doesn't require any trimming or maintenance and it can take the sun, this is your plant. Mazus. It is one of the best plants for using between stepping stones. It's an evergreen and it makes blooms, but the way that it grows is so compact and tight and tidy and short. And I'm talking about it hugs the ground like nothing else. You can see right here how tidy it hugged that sprinkler head. I just love it. I mean, I wasn't trying to do that, but it runs along the top of the ground. It's very easy to divide and propagate, but I really love the way it fills in between stepping stones. I've had it in gardens for maybe going on 5 to 6 years now. And if you want them to grow and be healthy and resilient and have all these great traits about them, you have to give them the growing conditions that they need. And for all of these plants, full sun is one of those conditions. The next perennial that I want to share, I'm not sure if it's even classified as a perennial, but it is actually a succulent, which is amazing because every other succulent that I've ever had near a freeze does not do well. But this is stonecrop. It's called lemon ball sedum or lemon ball stonecrop, but it's this bright green, mossy, dense mat that you'll see here. And I'm not sure if these are two different varieties and that's what's given the different color. So they could have come from different places. I'm not sure. I love it so much that I tend to take time to cover it, especially if it's new or if I feel like we're getting too close to 10 degrees. The fact that they were not even near the ground. These are growing on rocks, which this little area right here would be several degrees colder than on the ground. And this is super easy to propagate. You can really just drop it on the ground and it's pretty much going to grow wherever you drop it. But this is really how I propagate it. I just set it down and let it do its thing. The only reason you would need to worry about really burying this in the dirt would be if you have high winds and you're worried about it getting blown away, then that would be reason to put a little dirt on top or something, but it's not necessary, or you can just poke it in there, just something to kind of anchor it down a little bit. This green mound right here, it's about a good 5 to 6 feet long. This is autumn sage, and it makes red flowers. Up close, it looks like a little compact shrub, about maybe 8 to 10 inches tall, but I can see right here on the very tips, it looks like it has the beginnings of where it may have started to give up a little bit with the freeze. But overall, that is a winner. This just can be sheared back with some scissors. A couple years ago, this was just a small patch. And now it's about a good 5 to 6 feet long. So that's a winner in my opinion. Autumn sage, and it makes red flowers, and I believe it is a Texas native. If you like salvias, this is definitely one to go after. Right behind this autumn sage is some Shasta daisies. These are periwinkles, so I'm going to share that at the end of the video. But in the meantime, I want to get back to the amazing perennials that stood up to the freeze. This is Shasta daisy right here, and it looks untouched. The water's even been off for over a week now, and we haven't had much rain, so I'm happy about those. And that's another winner. They bloom really heavy in the spring, but they're definitely worth noting. That evergreen color makes up for the fact that they really only bloom once a year. Now, all of these periwinkles, if you have periwinkles that look like this, I know it's sad, especially I've been reading posts from people in Florida. So the steps that I take here with these periwinkles are actually going to be for a couple things. Every year they die, and I haven't had to purchase any new ones to plant along this whole creek bed for over 3 years now, because I've been doing this practice and it works very well. If you didn't know already, periwinkle is actually a very good self-seeder. It will drop seeds and they will all germinate if you are careful and don't remove them from the garden or spray them or treat them, because a lot of people don't recognize what they look like. So if you've got to become familiar with what the seedlings look like, and I have a picture here, you can see the seedlings look exactly like the mature plant, but extremely micro-sized. They are so tiny, and unless you really take the time to look or even pull out your camera so you can zoom in and look at them through your phone lens. And when you learn how to ID the seedlings, you will be so surprised about what pops up in your garden. Even besides the periwinkles, you will be surprised what other perennials are even coming up from seed in your garden. I'll pull out my camera and just zoom in and take a photo, and then even zoom in further if I have to on that photo to get a better picture of what's going on here. Because when you have these seedlings all clustered up and growing and coming back, you want to let them be. Those are your periwinkles. They will come back and bloom, and they will do this year after year if you follow these steps. The first rule, do not pull up your periwinkles. So what I'm showing you is, all you need to do is cut them back like 90% of the way. And the reason why I say 90% is because I like to leave a little stump, because if the root was warm enough and if you had a really good layer of mulch, you can apply mulch or keep mulch there until spring, and it will resprout from this. And that's why this one is so big, because this one has resprouted for a couple years at least. All these cuttings that I'm cutting off, it's really important. Make sure you're laying them down right in the bed where you want seeds to come up. Most of your seeds are going to be at the very end of the periwinkle stem, like out here where the leaves are. I like to get as many of the leafy parts grouped together as I can, keep them over the area that I want, and start snipping away in about 1 inch cutting sections and letting them drop wherever I would like to have periwinkles grow. And then you have to kind of remember they're there. If you do this and then you go dig up the area and plant something there, you're probably never going to see those seeds because you disturbed them while they were trying to emerge. If when you cut up your periwinkle leaves and wherever you're dispersing them in your garden, if you're worried about those getting blown away by the wind or something, because oftentimes once they start drying out, they will be moving around the garden, you can sprinkle lightly just a little bit of mulch on them to kind of hold them in place. I don't do a heavy layer. I just do a light layer, just enough to keep those cuttings in place. Now I'm going to show you how you can check to see if the base of your periwinkle is still alive. A lot of the times they're still alive, but if you don't take the steps to protect that little bit of life now, it may wither away. So let me show you what to check for. Now, you go over to your stumps after you've cut some stuff back, and you just start clearing away some of the debris here. What I look for is sprouts off of that like this that are green. A green sprout. So this sprout right here means all of the roots under here are still alive and fine. And even down under there, see that sprout right there? That is life. If spring was here next week and we never had a freeze, all of this would grow up and be a plant. And that's how these have come back every year, by me covering these up good and making sure these little sprouts stay protected. And the way that I do that is I pile on the mulch. So let me show you on this one, see if you can find some growth on this one. Look, so there's some growth down here that's obviously frozen, but when I pull that away, there's some nice bright green. Now, to increase your odds of this insulation trick working, the mulch, the finer shredded that it is, the better it's going to work, because it will hug the plant and pack in and kind of lock in place better than anything else. So that's the idea behind using the finest shred that you can get, and I like to go under and over the plant. Now, most people aren't even patient enough to look at their periwinkles to see if they're still alive before ripping them up. So one of the ways you can tell if a plant's like really dead or has any possible life, if you do this with a plant that's dead, just the slightest movement, it will either break or uproot itself. So you can just grab the center and do like this, just a gentle little circle. And if the whole thing moves or it comes up or breaks off, now the top may break, that doesn't mean the bottom is. So if the top happens to break off when you do that, you just grab a little lower and make another little circle. Just do a little circular motion. And if it's dead, the whole thing will move and it will be up because it won't be able to hug the dirt. And that's what's holding this in place. These roots are actually still viable and hugging the dirt. And I'm gonna put a little stone here to help hold this mulch in place. And this is how high I'm going on this one because it's so much bigger and coming up so much higher. And this is the only reason that these have been coming back year after year, because I take the time to do this. I mean, I don't know if there's a limit on how long, it can keep doing this, because I honestly didn't discover this until about 5 years ago. These are for sure 3-year-old periwinkle plants, and they're all tucked in and snuggled with mulch around the base. There's one more step that you need to do to make sure that it can do its job to the fullest, and that is water that mulch in. So by watering it in, you are closing all those air gaps and making sure the mulch is just laying on itself and locking it in place. And it also helps it keep it more stable, and it won't be prone to getting washed away by rain or wind. So that's another reason why I like to always lock in my mulch. And the finer shred that it is, the more that it needs to be locked in, because it just has more potential to shift around. And anytime there's room to shift, there's air getting in there and changing the soil temperature to a lower point than what we're trying to maintain. So my layer of mulch that I added around the base of the plants is about 2 inches at least higher than the point where I saw the little green growth coming out. I came up that much, and I really don't recommend doing any less than that. You can go more than that. If you want to cover the whole base, you can. Just make sure you get all the way around. You're not going to hurt the plant. The other important thing to remember, though, is that come spring, whatever the time period that you would be thinking about going to buy these annuals, that's when you need to go and remove some of this mulch. I don't remove it all, but I remove it until the first part of green growth that I see around the stems, because it might have new growth by the time you come back and look at it. As long as there's a good set of leaves or two around the stem that can get sunlight, it'll be good to go for good. I'll leave it there until I'm sure the last frost is gone. That might be March or so in zone 9. So here is my periwinkles all tucked in. I packed in mulch all the way around the base, several inches above where I saw the last viable growth, and then I watered all of this mulch in to lock it in place, and I'm going to leave it here until I see periwinkles for sale in the store. That's pretty much a good way to look at the timing. If you're not sure if this is your first year growing them and you're not sure about when spring's really here, when your last frost is, a good idea is just to see if they're available at your local nursery. That's usually a good indicator. So I hope this inspires you to get out there and check your periwinkles, and if they have any viable life, go ahead and preserve it while you can. So if you enjoyed this video, I hope you'll take the time to subscribe. Join me again next time on Garden Beauty.